In every corner of Africa, stories breathe, tales buried in dust, whispered through firelight. You're about to hear one of them. Welcome to African Horror Stories. In Sudan, there is a belief older than memory itself. A belief that not all spirits come to harm you. Some come because they like you. And once they do, they never leave. It began on a night that felt too quiet. The kind of silence that presses against your ears until you start hearing things that shouldn't exist. Amina woke suddenly, not from a nightmare, not from a sound, but from a feeling. Something was wrong. She sat up slowly, her breathing shallow, her eyes adjusting to the darkness of the room. The air felt heavier than it should have been, like the walls themselves were holding their breath. Beside her, her husband Kareem slept peacefully, unaware. For a moment, everything was still. Then, she heard it. A soft sound. At first, she thought it was coming from outside, but then it came again, closer this time. A quiet, trembling laugh. Amina froze, because the sound was coming from her own mouth. The next morning, she said nothing. How do you explain something like that without sounding like your mind has begun to slip? She told herself it was a dream, a trick of exhaustion. The mind does strange things in the dark. But as the day went on, small things began to happen. Unnoticeable at first, easy to ignore, until they weren't. Amina began forgetting things. Not ordinary things, like where she placed her keys or what she planned to cook. No, she forgot conversations, entire moments. She would speak, and then stop mid-sentence, confused, as if someone else had taken over her thoughts and then abandoned them halfway through. Kareem noticed. "Are you all right?" he asked one evening. Amina smiled. "I'm fine." But the smile lingered too long, just a second longer than it should have, and for reasons he couldn't explain, it unsettled him. That night it happened again, only this time Kareem heard it too. He woke to the sound of whispering, soft, rhythmic, like someone speaking just beneath their breath. He turned slowly. Amina was sitting upright in the bed, her back straight, her head tilted slightly to the side, and she was speaking, but not in her voice. Her tone was lower, unfamiliar, almost amused. Kareem felt his chest tighten. "Amina?" The whispering stopped. Slowly, she turned her head toward him and smiled. But it wasn't her smile. "You called her that," she said softly. Kareem blinked. "What?" The smile widened. "That name, it's not mine." A long silence filled the room. Then, Amina blinked. Her body relaxed, and she looked around confused. "Kareem, why are you awake?" By morning, the house no longer felt like home. Kareem went to the elders. He didn't want to. Men like him didn't run to old stories and traditions, but something in his chest, something ancient and instinctive, told him this was not something modern understanding could explain. He told them everything, the laughter, the voice, the change. The eldest among them listened quietly. Then he said something that made Kareem's blood run cold. "It has chosen her." The word spread quickly. Zar, a spirit, not a passing one, not a wandering shadow, but one that stays. When the elders came to the house, Amina greeted them calmly, too calmly. She sat among them, her hands resting gently in her lap, her expression soft and patient, as if she had been waiting. One of the women stepped forward. She studied Amina closely. Then she asked, "Who are you?" Amina smiled, and for a moment no one spoke, because everyone in that room felt it, that shift, that presence. When she answered, it was not her voice. "You already know." The rituals began that night. Drums echoed through the house, low, steady, hypnotic. Candles flickered against the walls, casting shadows that moved in ways shadows should not move. Amina sat in the center of the room. At first she was still. Then her fingers twitched, her shoulders jerked slightly, and then she began to move. Slowly at first, a sway, a shift, then faster. Her body twisting in unnatural rhythms, her movements sharp, almost violent, as if something inside her was learning how to use her limbs. The drumming grew louder, faster, more intense, and then she laughed. That same laughter from the first night, only now it filled the entire room. The elders did not stop her. They did not panic. They watched, because this was not a battle. This was a conversation. "Who do you want?" one of them asked. Amina stopped moving. Her head dropped forward. Her hair fell over her face. And when she spoke, it was calm, clear, certain. "I was called." The room fell silent. Kareem stepped forward. "No one called you." Amina's head tilted slightly. Then, slowly, she looked at him and smiled. "She did." The room turned toward Amina, but her expression had changed.
She looked confused, afraid. "I didn't," she whispered, but the voice came again, overlapping hers. "You were lonely." The candles flickered violently. "You asked for something to hear you." Kareem's stomach dropped. "You asked for someone who would never leave." Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. The elder spoke again. "What do you want from her?" A long pause. Then, "Everything." From that night on, the house changed. The rituals did not stop. They continued because they had to. The Tsar had made its demands: specific foods, certain music, jewelry, attention, and most importantly, obedience. At first, it was manageable. Amina would shift between herself and the presence. Some days she was normal, quiet, gentle. Other days she was not. Her voice would deepen, her eyes would sharpen. She would speak of things no one had told her, secrets, names, moments buried in the past. People stopped visiting. The house became isolated, not by distance, but by fear. Kareem tried to endure it. He told himself this was temporary, that there would be a way to end it, that his wife would return fully, that this thing, whatever it was, would eventually leave. But deep down, he knew the truth. One night, he refused. The drums had been prepared, the offerings set, the candles lit, and Kareem said, "No more." The room went still. Amina stood in the center, her back to him. "Do not do this," one of the elders warned. But Kareem shook his head. "This is not my wife." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, Amina laughed. Slowly, she turned around. Her eyes locked onto his, and in that moment, Kareem felt it. Not fear, not shock, but something far worse. Recognition. "You think I need this?" she asked softly. Her voice echoed, layered, wrong. The candles went out, one by one. Darkness swallowed the room. Kareem stepped back. "Amina!" She moved closer, too fast, too smooth, like something that didn't understand the limits of a human body. "You invited me," the voice whispered. "I stayed." The next morning, everything was quiet, peaceful, normal. Amina sat by the window, sunlight resting gently on her face. She looked like herself, calm, present, whole. Kareem approached slowly. "Amina." She turned and smiled, a real smile, warm, familiar. "I'm here," she said. Relief flooded his chest. For the first time in days, he breathed. Maybe it was over. Maybe the rituals had worked. Maybe whatever had taken hold of her had finally let go. That night, Kareem slept deeply, peacefully, until he heard it, a whisper, soft, right beside his ear. "You thought I left." Kareem's eyes snapped open, but he didn't move. He couldn't, because he already knew. Slowly, he turned his head. Amina was staring at him, wide awake, smiling, and in a voice that was not hers, she said, "I told you." Her smile widened, just slightly, just enough. "I don't leave." And somewhere, beneath her voice, you could hear it, that quiet, trembling laugh. That's all for today. If you liked the video, let me know by hitting like. And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe for more. You can watch another video of mine right here. See you next time.